Hey everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick. Right, anyway, yeah, that was really random. Okay, hi, this is Phreak with an audio commentary for WCR and, per request, we have a, human audio. Go from Cherub AS4X point of view, or S4X, if you're cool like me and read everything phonetically. And he is against J&G, I think it's, I forget, I actually asked and they told me. I think it's Pato. I'm pretty sure it's Pato. I forget. It doesn't really matter. I'll just call him the Night Elf. Or I'll probably keep saying Pato and then saying Pato and, you know, going out from there. In any event, keep the fog of war on. Again, from Cherub's point of view. 15-second mark. And let's go ahead and get this unpaused in right away. So, I'm going to talk about human and everything while we're running through the opener. So, 3, 2, 1, unpause. Now, initially we see some fairly standard builds from Cherub with, you know, altar and barracks, and pretty much that's just kind of what you do. Everything works out. You can continually make peasants, and you can make, you know, your hero and your footman, and it all just works out really well, and you have enough gold for everything. That's pretty much the reason why people do that. It just lines up, you know. I mean, I may do an audio on a different game where I think it's Shobu, it's Swain, who does a slightly different game, or a slightly different build order, in order to give himself a fast guard tower. Sorry, I'm like thinking about the chat. I don't know why. Oh, I'm thinking about the game that I may not actually commentate. Right. So anyway, Archmage getting out, barracks, you know, being built and everything, and yeah, I'm not sure why I'm like thinking about his text and everything. Right, so I'm gonna try to not concentrate on that because that really makes for bad audio. Anyway, right, in this matchup, it's, you know, 117 and 118. It's, you know, no longer in it's no longer like a 113 where elves just abuse boots all game and everything. So it's no longer like that. You really don't need the anti-harass tower anymore. Night elves have slowly been getting away from this sort of early harass thing that they've been doing. Like, they don't harass the peons anymore, you know, chase around you in your base, because usually you're in decent shape that you can actually run your Archmage away from a demon hunter or whatever and be in pretty good shape. So you don't need it anymore. I mean, ultimately, it's 9 times out of 10 you won't use it unless you're on something like Lost Temple or Plunder, where they will actually choose one of the bases to harass, and you're probably going to fast expand. Now, you notice right here he's doing militia creep in addition to footman creeping. And that's smart and very important, because essentially it allows you to get level 2 before you start getting harassed. So you can see already he's going to get, I believe it's, what, it's 68, no, it's going to be 88 EXP from the 1 cam. And this is going to add about 100, about 140, and I think it's going to be enough for level 2, I forget, but it probably will be. So you can see militia creeping is nice, though he did have one militia take a lot of damage. It also leaves the water mental with quite a lot of hit points, because he had one of the militia tank the melee creep, and he didn't really take a lot of hit points from that, so he's okay. And then he's got, you know, 205 hit point water metal that can't get detonated and can't easily be killed by DH, and that's the rationale there. So now it's a nightfall, or actually not quite yet, but the peon does see an archer running around, so he's like, okay, cool, now I know where our opponent is. Normally he wouldn't, but hey, luck owns, so good game. So since he's not being harassed, he's like, well, fine, I'm just going to continue creeping. I mean, ultimately, you know, you would usually see a demon hunter coming in to harass you, but not this time, so GG. But, you know, cool drops and everything. You know, nothing really phenomenal going on. It's just, you know, creeping, because you really can't harass a Night Elf cross map like this. Any footies that get hurt are free to just get hit by the demon hunter. And they just keep getting hit and everything, and, you know, it'll die eventually, because it's got a long way to go, and it moves a lot slower than a DH. You can, you know, pretty much chase one across the map, killing it. So you don't really want to harass at this stage in the game because of the cross map spawns and everything. Also, one of the things that you see going on also is that all these footies are getting really hurt by the poison creeps, and that's pretty much why human hates this map, because there's either the really easy green camps, or there's these with poison, or there's freaking like imbalance, you know, like main camp creeps. So you can see already he's I believe he's knocked out a footy already. I'm pretty sure, and actually he's knocked out 2, so he's kind of owning. A little bit of delay there, putting a lightning shield. He's not going to get any kills, but you can see, you know, that's what Nullwood's good for. It's 2 free footman kills, because they're all getting hurt by poison and damaged to below half health, and it just kind of really sucks. But you can see right here that Cherub's putting out the scout farm, which will allow him to see when his opponent is creeping the middle. Now because this is Fountain of Health, it means that it'll take a long time to creep the camp, and essentially they'll usually creep it with a small number of units because they can get away with it. As long as they can micro, they'll save everything. So it's about to be 3 footies for a single archer. Again, this is the Nullwood disadvantage right there because of all these footies taking a ton of damage from the creeps. So you can see it's always a smart choice for elf. So I mean, you figure, wow, he's like screwed because 1 archer versus 3 footies. I mean, holy crap. So, and sure enough, it is going to really hurt him, but considering how useless footmen really are anyway, it's not a big deal. But he's going to go for level 3, gets level 3. He's going to continue creeping out the camps that will, give him some EXP and hopefully some items. And right here, he should just go for the Demon Hunter, do as much damage as he can, and, it does do quite a bit of damage, but no kill. A lot of lightning shield times 2, that's cool. Ultimately, he's gonna tech up to the units he needs, as he knows that Night Elf will do the same. Because with an archer thing, you're really gonna go from archers straight into bears. And that's just what you do, sort of. You go archer to bear. And usually, like, I don't really know when, like, at what time elves go dryads, and sometimes they go straight to bears, because I've seen people do both. I've seen people go rush to bears, I've seen people get dryads for a while and stay at 2-2 for a short time, and then start making clouds before they start eternity. And I'm not sure what the rule of thumb is. I don't really know, but ultimately, there's a small frame where human has an advantage when they have their MK out, and the Night Elf either has just dryads, or they have, like, just adept or initiate Druids of the Claw, where essentially they have no army, because archers are just owned by the MK and the Archmage. You can just kind of focus them with heroes, and they just die. So he has picked him up. He has picked himself up a very strong hero level and getting 3 on the Archmage really quickly, and that's ultimately, part creeping pattern and, just really a combination of everything. Just, even jacking that 1 archer, was helpful. So, just smart creeping, getting to level 3 really quickly is important. That's one of those very critical levels that I talk about on occasion. But he's going to take this opportunity right now to put up an expansion, because this is, as I was saying, this is this little window of opportunity, and you can use it in multiple ways. You can use it to expand like he's doing right here, and you can also use it to get rid of all your footmen. But you can use it to expand, you can use it to actually harass your opponent, try to deal some damage, maybe tower. The problem with that, though, is that if you fail, you've already lost the game. And considering how much he was set back by losing 3 footmen and then another one in creeps, and, his opponent just lost, a single archer, he's obviously in some bad shape, so... Yeah. So ultimately, like, because of the initial losses, you can't tower. Otherwise, I think he might have, but you consider the fact that it's crossing up Nullwood, and that, so it's pretty much the biggest hits you can get within Warcraft in solo, and plus the fact that he's already at a disadvantage from losing 3 footies versus 1 archer. That's another thing. So, what we have going on is, creeping, and he's essentially power leveling his MK. He's summoning up with the water metal, then letting the MK tank, and rushing to get him to level 3 as fast as possible. Because ultimately, a level 4 Archmage is not going to do hardly anything for him when you have a level 1 or 2 MK. Who cares if you have level 2 Brilliance? You have weak freaking spells. Now, I'd rather have, like, level 2 Bolt or level 2 Clap, which is actually very strong and useful and everything. So as you can see right here, Cherub using this, short little time frame to put up an expo. And, hopefully quickly pull back up the, unit production before, Night Elf comes for a fight. As you can see right here at Night Elf, he got tier 3 pretty recently, and he's getting the master training. Now, if I were Elf, and I think what Elves should do really is attack right when they get master training, because chances are Elf or human really won't have crap, especially since of everything he killed recently. Getting rid of those footies and everything. I mean, he really have like no army at all. But whatever. So now he's got 3-3. And now he's gonna, level them equally to get, 4-4 and then rush 1 to 5, etc. So, for now, it's the creeping game. Now, really, if Night Elf had attacked, he'd pretty much kill him. Because there's no towers for the human, the expo's still being under construction, so he's just losing a bunch of money building the He's just losing a bunch of money building the expo. There we go. I spoke too fast. Sorry. And now he's got the town hall up, and now the game's gonna start slowly slipping away from the Night Elf because, you know, while they both have their respective tiers, you know, whatever they need, it's now up to just a macro war, and Human's gonna win this with the expo in there. Also, one thing Human does very well is make casters. And casters are the anti-bear, specifically sorceresses, because they do quite a lot of damage and slow owns. So Human's gonna creep this one out, and it's pretty much so that he doesn't get like rally jacked if he comes to go across the map. He's clearing it out for himself, so that, you know, it's not gonna be a problem later on. And then he's gonna move on to creeping a red camp. That's one of the things you sort of have to gauge is ultimately what you can creep, you know, because now that he's got Sorks and he's got, you know, level 2 water elementals and he's got quite a few rifles and everything. Actually, Sorks mean nothing. Priests, I mean, because they can heal. You know, he's got solid tanking, and the rock golems are really just weak units once you have like a 60 food army. I mean, they really are not durable things at all. You know, 600 HP, that's really nothing. I mean, it's like, wow, I can kill a huntress, or, you know, an adept druid of the claw or something. I mean, it's easier to kill than a grunt. I mean, and you know how fast. I mean, if you play Human, you know roughly how fast grunts can die. I mean, obviously they don't just like instantly die, but I mean, you know, I mean they don't take an eternity and a half. I mean, once you have, you know, 61 food or something, I mean, they die fairly quickly. And so he gets cool items, 20 XP again, and he's gonna again, you know, just pump up that MK a bunch. And you can see he puts everything that adds to armor on the MK because he's the tank. You know, he's got potion of greater healing, he's got plus armor, you know, everything that's of that caliber to the Mountain King, and then everything else essentially goes to the Archmage. And that's really why I like to add agility to strength heroes and add strength to strength heroes, because that's their job, tanking. And if you don't add strength to strength heroes, you're just going to be killed because, I mean, strength heroes are the casters. I mean, they're the best casters. I mean, Death Coil is like awesome. Okay, fine, it's not better than Nova, but that's like the one scenario where an intel hero has a better spell than a strength hero. But like Bolt, one of the best spells in the game. Shockwave, one of the best in the game. Impale, one of the, you know, it's all these good spells. And now here we go. We have the Tome of Retraining picked up, and it's Blizzard time because he's got level 2 Clap and level 2 Blizzard owns as well, and great timing there, casting Blizz and then instantly moving away, so dealing a total of 120 damage. You can see, look how slow that bear hits with slow and Clap on him. It's like, it's worthless. There you go, you see Blizzard going off, and he runs the MK back so it doesn't tank, and then it's like, no Clap actually because he has no mana. But you can see Lightning Shield is really ripping up through these archers quite a bit, but he's also hitting his own units too much, which is too bad. But he finally starts dispelling, and now it's pretty good. Now, one of the cool things, reverse Mana Burn. Mana Burn's the DH, managed to snag a kill on a bear, and force a TP. And that's ultimately because he was able to get himself up to 60 food really quickly when, you know, just about 3 minutes ago he could have been easily killed. And essentially, like, he didn't account for that at all. Like, wow, my brain is not working again. Awesome. You know, there was actually, you know, as much as I was talking about the window of opportunity for Cherub, you know, that was actually a little bit late on the expo almost. Like, he could have done that a little bit earlier, and it probably would have been safer also if he hadn't lost a bunch of footies early on. He would have been safer, so this was a bit of a risky strategy by him. But, you know, Pedo, the Night Elf, also had a chance of really doing a lot of damage as well if he had, you know, just gone and attacked with bears. That's one of the things, you know, if there's any Night Elf players listening, that's one of the things that you have to sort of work on, is really having wisps at every expo. I mean, when it's nightfall, you can easily sneak wisps in everywhere, so do it, because it seriously matters a lot. Because ultimately, if Pedo had just scouted with a wisp, you know, had one there, seeing there was an expo going up, he could have just attacked. And, I mean, easily just, like, gone and attacked. Because Cherub had nothing. He just planted out a whole bunch of money in trying to put up an expansion, you know. He spent a lot in, you know, losing 4 footmen, so I mean, there was obviously a strong disadvantage for the Human player. And, I mean, Pedo could have just won it right away by having bears versus, like, a 40 food army. I mean, you can't do anything against that. I mean, that's just strong, you know. So, ultimately, mistake there from the Night Elf. And it will prove to be critical and game turning, but here we go. Here's this another fight. But really now that Cherub has his Expo, I mean, yeah, Pedo has his own now, so it'll start evening out, but it's 4-5 versus 4-3, so he's already got the creeping advantage too. And I mean, that's one of the things you have to sort of, you know, think about, is that, you know, Cherub pretty much played perfectly. I mean, he built expansion, and then he power crept. I mean, he got a red camp. That's strong, right? Right, Pedo, he didn't creep as nearly as hard, he didn't get an expansion nearly as early, he didn't attack when he should have, you know, he didn't do a lot of things when he should have done them. So, very bad. I mean, you could even see there's a scout farm for Cherub, and he actually scouted the other expo pretty recently from now. You can see that he's going for it right now, he scouted it a little bit earlier. And ultimately, you know, scouting means a lot on something like Nullwood. I mean, when I was sort of a noob at this game, Nullwood was huge. I could never, you know, really get a grip on Nullwood. I just, you know, hope he doesn't expand because I could never find any of them. Now I feel that, you know, I'm comfortable with the map and that, you know, I'm able to scout efficiently and, you know, sort of know where the spots are. And that's just, you know, sort of part of getting used to Warcraft and everything, and the maps. And, you know, it's something you have to kind of do. Now, one of the things that's usually really tough to do, especially when you're fighting against, like, an elf base where there's, like, a tree of life in there that actually attacks you, is getting all of your units to actually attack the opponent's army. That's something that I'm always really bad at, and I can, like, never actually do it, is actually get my army attacking his army instead of, like, his trees and stuff. But, pretty much you just have to focus fire something so that they all pull in and get up there, then you can start attack moving afterwards. But you can see it's just, you know, a lot of focus fire mostly, and if he could Stormbolt, I'm sure he would, but he has no mana, so good game. Yeah, and he blistered his own army, good job. And slow owns, so good game there. I don't know why he sort of turned around there, but he's gonna get killed for it. So, bye Demon Hunter. And level 5. So, Cherub's now on a very big advantage, because he just killed, you know, the primary hero, and he's gonna kill his opponent's expansion. And all this was just because he got his expansion earlier. I mean, that was so much of it, is having this monetary advantage. And, you know, pulling through with it. So Ogre Mauler's about to die, hitting a tree, and having the tree hit it, because he's retarded. Getting priests jacked and everything, and, Bolt, good game, go. But, Breath of Fire. And then lose your other hero. Good job, Pedo. Smart move. So, Pedo's pretty much lost this game. There's pretty much, you know, no room for him to do anything now. As that way's gonna come in to block. Does some pretty good blocking. Stops one of the bears a little bit, that's gonna go down. 18 and poof. So. Let's see. Right, so the Expo going down, Blizzard also on the gold mine to just kind of make sure if Wisps pop out, they'll get hit a little bit. Just going to try to pull the MK in there to try to hit Wisps as they come out of the mine when the tree dies, so they can clap them, but no guarantees there. Tries to bolt one of them, just misses. And clap time, claps pretty well, and Blizzard's quite a few of them, so it's pretty good timing there. Yeah, he timed the clap so that right when the tree died, he'd hit all those Wisps with clap, and Blizzard managed to snag 3 of those, so 100 mana loss on the MK because of, you know, detonate, but really who cares when you've got Brilliance Aura and 23 intel of GG. So, Tome's still not picked up at the initial creep camp for Cherub, which I thought about early on and then checked it just now. And plenty of gold. And at 78 food, it's over. So here's Pedo trying to put up expansion right now. It was a scout farm, so he's screwed. I'd personally put it at the other gold mine, the one more towards the fountain. There's no scout farm and there's more gold in it, so that it can last you longer. But, anyway, after a certain point, when you're playing human versus night elf, it comes to the point where you know you have an advantage, and you want to sort of end it. And you don't want to say, like, end it like, go make Mords and siege him, you want to make it like, mass air, because elf has no counter. And by no counter, I mean, it's possible, but not when you have this kind of a disadvantage. So, like, I mean, Elf could technically sit around as Ancients of War and camp for a while and probably live for some time, but Sheriff's like, screw this, I know I've won, so I'm gonna kill you. Now, Invis. Now, Invis has one major use and then one sort of, well, hey, I mean, if you fall for it, go for it. It's, you know, the accidental use is, you can't see my Mountain King, so, or like, you don't know my Mountain King's there, maybe he's AFK, so, you're gonna play as if there's no Mountain King there at all, which really is not what you're intending on, but hey, if it happens, cool. But really, the main use is the fact that you can't mana burn it, because when you have an Invis MK, I mean, he only has, you know, 345 mana, and that's with, you know, plus 2 intel, whatever, so you really should only have 315 mana. And 315 mana is not a lot. You go 1 mana burn, and he's down to 165. You clap and bolt, and he's actually gone out of mana. So, I mean, that's pretty big. 1 burn, then 1 of each spell, and then you've got to rely on mana regen. That's pretty horrible. Right? I mean, that's just bad. So instead, you invis so that you can, you know, bolt clap and hope the DH is mana burn the Archmage, then do another bolt clap, and then you're in decent shape. Essentially, the invis is just to dodge mana burn. Now, also, one thing you want to do when your opponent expands and you know they're expanding and you know you have a better army, wait for the expansion to finish, because all it's going to do is further your advantage. I mean, if you make him cancel, fine, loses 100 gold. Who cares? You just wasted a whole bunch of time running across the map to make him lose 100 gold and then detonate their wisp on your Mountain King. Who cares? You make them spend 400 gold, you gain 25 EXP, and, you know, they spent 400 gold, 100, you know, 200 and something wood. And I'm including the wisp cost in that 400 gold, by the way, which is why I'm not saying 340. And then invis on the MK again, so that he can also use it as a bit of a scout. You can see he's leading the way. So he doesn't get sort of jacked, because, you know, it would be entirely possible for him to get kind of owned by, you know, bears coming in and suddenly, oh, you've just died. So you can see bolt right away on the Demon Hunter, and he bolts so that he doesn't get mana burn until he claps. He knows how much mana he has, you know, he can bolt and clap, and that'll run him out of mana. So he's gonna, you know, bolt the DH, which is probably the optimum target. And then he's like, well, I better do this before I get mana burned, so he claps, and clap is very good, it does a lot of damage, it slows those bears down, which not only let the MK tank longer, but, you know, even if they're not going for the MK, they have to get around him, and that'll take twice as long, because they're nerfed to half speed, and it's just own it. It's a pretty good spell. I used to really underestimate it, because, like, well, it's good for schools, but everything else, I mean, like, Orc, and Night Elf, and they've got bears, I mean, that's worthless because they have a lot of hit points, and, I mean, really, who cares? But seriously, that spell is awesome, so don't underestimate clap, it owns. In any event, this game's gonna end. You can see he's up to 98 foot of air. Yeah, setting out a scout to see if he's expanding again. He is, so that Solark is gonna deal some damage. And yeah, now he's got an advantage. Essentially, when you have an advantage in a game like this, I mean, you're like really winning. You have to start checking expansions, and you have to keep doing it. I mean, either scout from everything, or wisp everything, or something, but have a way to check on expansions, because if they get one up under your nose, and like, they power like 5,000 gold out of it, you're gonna kick yourself if you lose the game there, because, I mean, it's your game if you've got this kind of an advantage where you've got, you know, 100 food, and your opponent has a grand total of 47, you know, you're actually literally doubling their top score. And if they get some kind of double expo under your nose, you're not aggressive enough, you can easily lose it, so that's something to be careful about. Also, if it ever looks at all like you're losing, don't hesitate to TP when you have an expansion and your opponent doesn't, because you have an expo and your opponent doesn't. Your main gold mines will both run out, right, and then your expo just keeps giving you money. So if you just play sort of a delay of game where you just pick up each of these units, that's an advantage for you. Also, for the meantime, your expansion's paying for any of those TPs you got rid of. And still, for as many TPs as he forced from his opponent, I think he'll be fine. But, I mean, if you actually, you know, play stupidly and you lose a bunch of your army, that's just kind of sad. And, you know, you've given him like a level 6 on 2 heroes, and then he gets to turn the game around. So, TP, if it looks grim, like, I don't know if I said this before in earlier commentary, I think it's one of those things where I was just thinking to myself, breaking points are huge. The breaking point is essentially when your army starts to fall. Like, you know, like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen a game where you're like playing someone who has such a huge army, you're like, I can't even touch this army, like my army just dies, and he lost maybe 1 unit, right? That means he's, not at all reaching his breaking point to his army. Now you get to a point where all his units are in orange and red, you're suddenly like, he's losing the battle, and if he doesn't get out of there right now, I'm going to level up 3 times in both my heroes from killing all his units. I mean, if you can, defensively micro well, or, essentially if you defensively micro well, your army is going to, they're all going to share the damage. Eventually it comes to the point where they're all orange or red or something, and your army's about to break, because everything's within 2 hits of getting killed, and your opponent, has the ability to do that much damage, and so you have to make sure he doesn't. So that means you either TP early, so that, you TP before he's, in range, I don't know, like, you TP before that hits, and now that can come really quickly with something like level 3 Shockwave and Chain Lightning, or that can come pretty slowly if they just have, like, archers, and they're all slowed and crippled or whatever. But ultimately you need to really watch out and make sure, you don't suddenly lose your army, because the thing with the breaking point is that it happens fast, and because TPs take 3-4 seconds to activate, and plus there's lag in terms of, making the TP actually start opening, you do have to sort of judge it in advance, because you can suddenly start losing a lot of, hit points and losing a lot of units and, giving your opponent a lot of EXP if you're not careful. And so, it's one of the things you have to judge is, at what point is my army going to break apart and start getting owned? And you have to find that out, and owner's clap right there, hitting like everything. And you need to judge it in advance, and that will, it matters a lot. It matters a whole lot. So there you go. And yes, wisps are very strong units, pretty much owning, and then you haze fires, and there's quite a bit of damage there, but it's not enough. Because healing scroll, and that's one of the things you can do with the breaking point thing, is you get a healing scroll so you can prolong it. Things like AOE, like. The purpose of AoE is not necessarily to kill units, it's to sort of bring you closer to that breaking point. And really, if you want to get, more complex into it, you win the game by essentially breaking your army before your opponent breaks yours. I mean, that's, 9 times out of 10, or 99 out of 100, whatever, it's going to be that, as opposed to, like, a base race or something, or, killing a hero, or, whatever it is. But, it's ultimately, it's mostly, breaking your opponent's army. And if you break your opponent's army, if he's good, he's just going to TP and you're not going to kill much, or if he's bad, he's going to lose 9/10 of his army before the TP finishes, or he just loses them all running away, and you're going to level up and you're going to get an advantage, and the next time your army's bigger than his and you can make his break faster. So really all you have to do is worry about defensive micro. When you're at an advantage, worry about defensive micro, because really they're going to rely on picking off your units with their heroes and maybe a couple specialty units that are good at slowing, Dryads, Raiders, Sorks, maybe, or like, a Griffin bomb or a Destroyer bomb, where they just sort of, focus, pull back, and they pick off until they have an equal army size. And so that's where you sort of focus on defensive micro, make sure you don't lose anything, and if he tries too hard, you're just going to bolt surround or, snare surround or something, his hero or a tier 3 unit or something. And that's how you sort of keep an advantage. Now, if you're at a disadvantage, like, your opponent could break you first, get healing scrolls. I mean, essentially just get them right before the battle, because this is what happens. Units take time to make, right? Like, a rifleman takes, let's say, 30 seconds, about right. Costs 200 gold. Now, let's say you're fighting right now, and you have 250 gold. You could train a rifleman, and it won't do anything for you in the battle at all. Or you buy a healing scroll, and as soon as you see everything hit orange health, you pop it, and suddenly your army is now far away from its breaking point again, and you're in good shape. Meanwhile, your opponent's is now, lower than you, and you can start winning a fight because of a healing scroll. And ultimately, AoE, that's what it's about, is, bringing everything lower so that the army starts to break. Now, also, if you can do it right, you can use AoE to actually break apart the army when they all are at orange or, 0 HP, whatever. And then Shockwave comes across and you just hear 3 grunts at the same time, which just happened in the last game I played with my Gosu TC Alchemist. And then, here we come with, you know, a shockwave, and suddenly 3 things have died because, you know, the shockwave's only worth, you know, 1/4 of the grunt's hit points, but, I mean, you know, you start the fight a little bit, you know, like cast shockwave at the beginning, so they're all 600. You know, we're fighting for a while, my grunts are dealing damage, and suddenly, oh, shockwave, and 3 things just died, you know. That's one of the cool things to do. And, you know, as AoE levels up, the breaking point rapidly approaches faster, because, you know, if you have an army full of riflemen, your army starts breaking at 200 HP, because shockwave will kill every rifleman you have if they're all 200 HP or less. Meanwhile, if there's only a level 1 TC in there, you can stay around till 100 HP, and then either pop a healing scroll and stay longer, or pop a TP, so that they all TP out at about 100 so that nothing will die. And, you know, it's just something you have to gauge, and it's really very important. So, that's something you have to do, and gauge, and everything like that. So, this will be Phreak signing out. Later.